Okay, so my dad come and pick me up from Austin. He surprises me because I called him like at 9 o'clock. He surprised me by showing up. It was nighttime. And then when we get in this Cadillac, he kept looking at his gas hand. I was like wondering why he keep looking at it. And then he finally told me, he said, I don't know if we're going to make it to Fort Worth because we almost out of gas. And I'm saying, well, put some gas in it. And he just looked at me and basically said, I don't have no money to put no gas in it. Like he drove 300 miles just to come and get me and didn't even have any gas. Because he did tell me, if you ever call me and you need me, just call me. And I did, and he came, but he wasn't ready to come. So yeah, so he was well, anyway, we made it to Fort Worth. The gas hand was on red. The light came on, and I was worried, but we made it. And after that, I started living in Fort Worth. And I like living in Fort Worth because at that time, I was 14, 15 years old. And so I was going to middle school. In middle school, I didn't really have much as far as school supplies. And I had, I was just maintaining with what I did have. We went to go stay at my grandpa's house, and that's where my uncle and his wife and 3 kids were staying at. But anyhow, when I was in school, it was obvious that I didn't have, a lot of things. And there was this guy named Black. Black was very tall, dark complected. He was probably as dark as this iPhone. And, he kind of remind you of that character. I don't know if y'all remember Gumby, that Play-Doh character. He reminded me of him. But anyhow, he ended up becoming my best friend because he just offered things to me that I didn't have for school, And then I ended up meeting his mother, his brothers, his aunts, and they all took me in as if I was like one of them. And I started calling his aunt my aunt, and I just felt like family. It was to a point where, cause they stayed in a nice little neighborhood. He had gave me the home gate code to go inside the gate, and I was so accepted. I would go into the house when nobody there, I just chill. And the mom would come in, they would like, hey boy. I like, hey, they where Brian? He ain't here. And she'd be like, you hungry? She cook something to eat. I mean, his mom and dad would stand there. And they didn't treat me like, why is he in here? I never stole anything from them. I never did anything illegal or nothing. I respected that, and I was, decent and respectable. So anyhow, you know, Black, he used to get these season pass to Six Flags, and he got me one, and we used to go all the way to Six Flags, just me and him, and he used to have girls meet us there, and I think what was going on with Black was that, see, I was a decent young fella when I was young. Let me see if I can show a picture of me when I was younger. Oh, here go me right here. Hold on. I was a decent young fella when I was young. Let's see if you can see that. That was me when I was young. But I was a little bit older right there. But I was that guy that I never had a hard time finding a girlfriend because I always had selections of beautiful girls, not just, your average girl. I'm talking about beautiful girls. And I think that he was using me to attract girls. And I was mad, and I was even thinking about that. All I was thinking about how much I appreciate his friendship and how he was looking after me. And this girl, I could say her name. This is her nickname. Her name is Kiki. She had no, that wasn't even her real name. I forgot her name, to be honest with you. It might have been her name because I met a lot of Kikis. But anyhow, she was with some like 4 or 5 girls when we met at the Six Flag, and she pulled me over and she like, Q, don't do that. I'm like, don't do what? Because it was me, Black, and two other guys. And basically what she was telling me, I didn't really understand what she was saying, but she was because she was saying basically all those guys that I was with was ugly, and I was the only handsome dude. And she was basically saying I need to hang with guys more in my caliber of handsomeness, you know. But I didn't really, I kind of understood what she said, but it didn't really register. You get what I mean? Because she didn't really just blunt out it. Because I guess she was afraid that they would hear what she said. You know what I mean? But anyhow, you know, Black became the guy that I had really became real close to. And he had a cousin named Reggie, and Reggie was a gangbanger. You know, he was in that Paru, Blood, stuff like that. You know, and we stayed in this hood called Eastwood. And even though we had Crips and Bloods, we would put our, or they would put their colors to the side just to represent the hood. So it's like Eastwood. And this was the Eastwood sign right there. Well, hey, that was the Eastwood. And so anyhow, me and Black, we came close to a point where I was wearing his clothes because I didn't have any clothes. I mean, I had some, but I ain't, because, you know, Black, he was goddamn mean. He was wearing nice name brand clothes. I wasn't wearing that. So he'll hook me up. All his pants was creased. He was just sharp. He was sharp, you know, and he lived that life because of what his parents provided for him. I mean, his parents was decent individuals, hustlers into real estate and to Mary Kay. They was doing their thing, you know. And, you know, I wish I had parents like that. But anyhow, when I was making friendship with Black, my dad came to I told my dad that my little brother wanted to come down there. So my dad went all the way to Austin to pick up my little brother. So now it's me, my little brother, and my uncle, his wife, and their kids. And we all the kids stayed in one room. We was like, we had like 2 or 3 bunk beds in one room. I mean, we was all squashed up in there like essays. And so anyhow, like probably a month, my pops tells me that he's going to Houston because his ex-girlfriend told him that he missed her, or she missed him, and he really liked her, you know. So he asked me and my brother, do we want to go with him? And I was like, no, because it was a part of our life that we did stay with her and her kids. Things didn't work out. Like her kids was like trying to bully us, you know, and I ain't like going through all that, you know. But I mean, we stood our ground. Well, at least I did. I didn't like that though, because I was never a violent person. But they was just like picking on us, you know what I mean? So I didn't really like that. But my dad, you know, he was like, y'all want to come? And we were like, no. He said, well, I'm finna go. So give me a hug. And I was like, I ain't finna give you a hug, you know what I mean? You about to just leave us, you know? So he like, y'all not gonna give me no hug? And my brother got up and gave him a hug and tell him goodbye. And then my dad left. And probably like a week later, my uncle, which is my dad's brother, he come in the room. He say, you know, if you ever need anything, you can always come to me. And I was on the phone with a girl, like, yeah. And you know, then my aunt came in there, and then my cousin came in there with these. They was just acting strange, and that's when I found out that my dad was killed. My dad was helping somebody, giving them a ride, and they shot him in the back while he was in his car, shot him in the back through the seat. And I later on found out that the person that shot him was trying to get in the game. And when I heard that he was shot, I was like, oh, my dad's a big dude. He'll be all right from a bullet. But he died. And that really struck me, you know. I'm 14, 15 years old. I lost my dad, and the hard thing about it was that I didn't even get to tell him goodbye. I had a chance to, but I didn't tell him because I was upset. But my brother was able to tell him goodbye, but I didn't. And that haunts me to this day. But that's my story.